Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain, a website, or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. We got a new episode of the Photo Breakdown today, so if you're new here, this is the second episode of a little series that I've started where I basically break down everything that goes into a handful of photos from one particular set. So everything from the gear that I use, how I expose everything, and then sharing some final thoughts as well. Today's episode is all about some photos I made of my wife Molly on a little trip we took a few weeks ago to celebrate our 5-year wedding anniversary. We stayed in Mohican State Park at a place called Landell's Castle, which was a really cool place, but my favorite thing about the entire suite that we stayed in was this bathroom because it had this floral wallpaper just covering everything, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to make some photos in there. I've been wanting to shoot some Cinestill 800T for a while in my Pentax 6.7 because years ago when they first started releasing Cinestill, I put a couple rolls through my M6 at our local county fair, and I had a lot of fun with it, but that was really the only experience I had with the film, and since I had just recently picked up a roll in 120, I went ahead and brought it with me, and as soon as I saw the bathroom and the tungsten lighting in there, I just knew that was perfect for that. I ended up shooting that entire roll in the bathroom in a matter of like 10 minutes, so I had a lot of fun with that, but I did shoot it with the Pentax 6.7 like I mentioned, and I shot it with the 90mm f2.8. This is still the only lens I currently own for the Pentax 6.7. Years ago I always used the 105, but I've really come to enjoy the 90mm. Every once in a while, I can't lie, I do miss that 105 just because it has a very distinct look to it. But the fact that I can focus so close with the 90mm is probably the one thing that keeps me holding on to this lens. I do have a metered prism on the Pentax 6.7, although that does not work, so it's just a regular prism, so I metered everything using the Sekonic L358, and I wasn't sure exactly how well this film would push because I have such little experience with it, so I just set my meter to 800, I had the bulb out, and I metered for the highlights. I didn't do any pushing or anything like that, and I had the film developed and scanned by the darkroom. I metered for the highlights because I was okay with losing shadow detail. I wasn't sure about the latitude with this film since I have such little experience with it, so I metered for the highlights knowing that I could possibly end up with a bit of a darker and moodier look to it, but for these particular photos I was okay with that. So for each shot I just had the bulb out on my meter, had it set to 800, and I just took a meter reading directly in front of her where the light would be falling on her face. I had two different exposures for this entire roll. There were a few photos where she was a little bit further away from the light, facing the mirror directly, and for those it was 1/60th of a second at f2.8, and then a few photos where she was closer to the mirror and closer to the light, and for that it was 1/25th of a second at f2.8. To my surprise, the shadows still held plenty of detail in them as I was metering for the highlights. They did have a blue tint to the shadows, more so than most films, and I'm assuming this probably has a lot to do with it being a tungsten balanced film, or maybe that we were shooting in tungsten light. But a simple color correction, all I did was basically just bring the shadows down to get more of a natural look and actually match it to what I was seeing with my eyes. The skin tones as well came out much cleaner than I expected, to be completely honest. They have a really natural look to them, and even the sharpness of the film as well. At 800, it looks extremely clean. I'm not sure how much this holds up as you start to push the film, but at 800, the grain, the sharpness, and the color, it was way cleaner than I was expecting. I've also seen people talk about this glowing red look that you see whenever you shoot lights with Cinestill, and although the lights were in some of these photos, I didn't get any of that. If you look really close, you can start to see it in a couple of the images, but I'm not sure exactly why that didn't happen here. If you have any insight into that, please feel free to leave a comment explaining that, but I didn't really have any deep idea or thought process going into these photos. I really just saw the bathroom and wanted to have fun with it, so I asked Molly to just wear something that was kind of plain and simple and didn't really take away from any of the character of the bathroom, and that was pretty much it. I just wanted to have fun. And like the saint that she is, she modeled patiently for me, as she always does. I know I am a very, very lucky man. So before I wrap up and share my final thoughts, I want to take a second to pay some bills and keep the lights on and thank our sponsor once again, which is Squarespace. If you're a photographer, you need a website, and Squarespace is the best all-in-one platform for you to get your portfolio set up, have a place for people to get in touch with you, and even sell your own prints like I do. There are tons of templates for you to choose from when it comes to building your own site, and everything looks extremely clean and professional. And even if you do happen to have any trouble setting it up, Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer service, and they're always ready to help. So if you'd like to get started on building your own website, you can do so entirely free at squarespace.com. But if you're ready to get signed up, I can save you 10% off your first purchase if you go to squarespace.com/mattday. Overall, I'm both surprised and excited with how these turned out. Honestly, I just took this as an experiment. I wasn't sure how things would turn out, and I didn't really have high expectations. I was mostly just curious, but I ended up coming away with some photos that I'm actually really excited about, and it really makes me want to shoot some more Cinestills. So I definitely am planning on doing more videos with this. I already have some film ordered, so I'm pretty excited about that. I also have a roll of Cinestill 50D that I'm going to be shooting as well, so I'm excited to test that film out, being a daylight and much slower speed film. That's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm excited about that. While we were in Mohican, we also hiked a few miles, and I brought my Pentax 6.7. Yes, I hiked like 3 miles with this thing around my neck, so I don't want to hear people complaining about how this camera's too heavy. Suck it up, you'll be fine. But I shot a roll of Portra 400 and Ektar 100 as we were hiking. And if you guys are interested, next week I'll be doing a video just kind of sharing those photos and how I exposed them and what we found, and just a little fun photo recap kind of thing. So if you're interested in that video and you want to support the channel, the easiest way to do so is just by subscribing. However, if you would like to check out the Patreon page, I'm going to put a link in the description. And if you have any questions or comments at all about any of this stuff, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.